911 location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in custody today.
Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Hey, you guys. Happy Friday. I'm glad it's Friday. Finally get a little bit of relaxation. I tried to fix my camera angle from what Lipso Bipso did last night to it. I think it's okay. I'll fix it later. I think it's probably the wrong angle, but you know what? It's not even about whatever. I'll fix all of that later. Anyway, today we are going to go over the information that we just got yesterday when it comes to Blaker going down to Texas. Now, originally, yeah, she's so freaking funny. And she just doesn't care. She'll get right up in the screen. And I know she knows what it's doing. Like, maybe she doesn't know it's recording, but she knows that it's something that I'm constantly communicating with, you know? I think that's why she stood right there. Because she wanted my attention. Well, she got it. She's up in the closet right now. Actually, I need to open this door. Oh, my God. Fix this now? Okay. I need to open my bathroom door because you have to walk through my bathroom to get into my walk-in closet, and she's at the top of my walk-in closet. That's where she sleeps, and I don't want her to be stuck in there, so I had to crack the door a little bit. Oh my God. Make sure that this is muted so it doesn't go off all crazy in the microphone. Okay. Now, I also have a live for later on tonight. I told you guys that tonight we were going to go over the Goncalveses at CrimeCon because they said a lot of interesting things. Same old boo-boo, you know, whining about how we call them liars was because you are liars. As a matter of fact, I found the original interview where Christy is actually the one who says that they saw SV1 driving around back before the arrest. I believe she says it in the Chronicles of Olivia interview. I just went in and re-recorded all that stuff like over the past week. So then fast forward 3.5 years and she tells Chris Hansen, you know, all that was new and we didn't ever see it before. No, you freaking lying asshole. You had it from night one. So we're going to continue to call you liars as long as you continue to be liars. I mean, what else are you expecting? So we're going to watch that because he says some crazy stuff about the phone and a couple other things, and I feel like it's pretty important. So we're going to take a break from documents and watch that tonight, but I wanted to show you guys the FOIA information that I got because I should have gotten this a long time ago. And I also know damn well that this can't be everything, okay? So let's talk about what we already knew when it came to the DNA sample, okay? There was a lot of misconception in the very beginning because they weren't being honest and just like telling us stuff, right? So some people were under the impression that it was actually like the swabs that were sent down to OTHRAM. Some people were under the impression they actually took the entire knife sheath and had OTHRAM do their own swabbing and do all their own stuff like that. And some people were under the impression it was like a DNA sample, which the DNA sample is apparently what it actually was, which is where they take a cutting from the Q-tip, they put it in a solution, they use different chemicals to magnify the sample because it was such a low amount of DNA, and we've gone over the forensic breakdown of the numbers of that in a live several months ago. It's still up there. It's not very long. It's very short, simple, to the point. It's very, here's this, here's this, here's this, and easy for anyone to follow to be able to understand what actually happened here. Because the guy from OTHRAM came out and said he didn't understand why people were saying that there wasn't any DNA because there was so much DNA. He's a freaking liar. No, there wasn't. He had a magnified, amplified, all kinds of big things, okay, sample that was created for him to do his testing for. All of that was done before he ever got it. It had to be manipulated. It had to be magnified. It had to be multiplied. It had to have all these things done to it before it ever even got to be the amount needed for testing. They had to go in and manipulate the shit out of it to get it to testing size. The testing size is what he saw. The testing size is the only thing that he can speak on. We see the facts when it comes to the minuscule amount of DNA that they actually found. Okay. So then we finally got some information from a closed session transcript before the plea that ended up coming out that we read. This is the same January 23rd, 2025 closed hearing transcripts where we read that Brett Payne tells Ann Taylor that there was a lead suspect before they had Bryan Kohberger's name, and that there were unknown DNA made known to them after they had Bryan Kohberger's information on the 19th of December. And miraculously, that night, the evidence fridge goes out at the Moscow Police Department, and it has to be replaced the next morning. Just so happens. But in that session, we also had Matthew Gamet come forward from the Idaho State Police. He is the lab director for the forensic lab for Idaho. And he came out and told Ann Taylor in this exact same session that he accompanied a Boise officer, which Blaker is not a Boise officer. He works for the frickin' Moscow Police Department, still does, down to OTHRAM in order to drop the sample off. What we didn't know until we FOIA'd the information is that Matthew Gamet did not return straight to Idaho the way that Blaker did. He actually went up to Utah, and it seems like he went up there to visit the FBI because the Salt Lake City FBI office was central headquarters for the FBI for this case. Now, what was interesting is in some of the more recent information, I think, what was it? God, which one was it? When we were live 2 nights ago going over the mass amount of new information that just came out, we did read that the Los Angeles FBI office did take over at some point for some subject. I can't remember exactly what it was. But Utah, Salt Lake City's office was the main office for this case. So at that point, there was like no communications that were given, and that video's out there, and all of the documents for that FOIA, and at the end of this one, all the documents for this FOIA will be in the Google Drive under the FOIA stuff. I had asked for correspondence, emails, anything like that, because there's no way that two people from two different departments don't have communications on how to organize this and get together to plan it, right? No, according to him, there was none. There was no email communications, no correspondence that he can give me, nothing. All we got was receipts. Now, unlike Moscow, Idaho doesn't charge for anything. Everything that they have given me in way of my FOIA request, they have not charged me a damn dime for. We go out to Moscow all these months later, and the original amount that they had said was like 95 and some change, or 96 and some change, but it ended up being 105 even. No change. So just like when we got the chain of custody information originally for the knife sheath from Moscow, when we paid like $200 for 3 photos and 2 emails, they said then that there was like 685 emails that technically fell under my inquiry, but that we weren't privy to under FOIA law. So that's probably what happened here. I haven't been able to speak to Amber directly to see what exactly was found versus what was actually sent to us, but $105 for 2 photos and a 4-page document with barely any information on it is ridiculous, especially when you consider the one name that was redacted. What the hell did I just pay $105 for? I don't freaking know. I don't freaking know. So what I want to do is read the report, and then I'm going to show you the new information. And just remember what I said yesterday. Remember what I said yesterday? I said, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned because the envelope says freeze when it comes to how this should be stored. It says freeze. But the problem is that he carried it in a black backpack, and it doesn't say anything about this being like a refrigerator type cooler backpack. It doesn't say anything about it being, wrapped in like dry ice or anything like that. And once I show you the pictures of the envelope, you're going to see it never touched anything cold. So I don't know if it not being frozen all the way is going to have an effect on what happens to the DNA on its way down there or not. I just know what this says versus what I'm seeing, and I'm a little confused on if it was viable without it being frozen, because it was, again, just in a regular schmegular little backpack as far as we know. So this is the report right here. Oh, thank you for the 5, Courtney. Me and Jasper New Kitten tuned in. You're amazing. Keep fighting for the truth. We're all behind you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I love that little name. I love that little name for a little kitten. Jasper's cute. Okay. So this is supplement number 93. This is where we actually get to read the information from Dustin Blaker going down to OTHRAM. This says that on November 21st, 2022, I traveled from Moscow, Idaho to Meridian, Idaho to drop off evidence at the Idaho State Police Forensic Laboratory located at, which I don't know why they blocked the name out. It's literally just a Google away. It's public information. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile, which had been generated by the ISP Forensic Lab. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by ISP investigators, not Brett Payne. Notice how that's like the big major difference here. And I really wonder why Blaker hasn't spoken up on this. You know what I mean? Because in his version of the PCA, which is pretty much copy and paste minus personal background and this right here, this is like the only other thing that's different. Payne gives himself responsibility. Don't know how to reply to an email. Dollinger has also given Payne responsibility when he's come out and done interviews. The one very notably in my mind is one that he did with Nate Eaton, where he very much says that Brett Payne is the one who found it. But Blaker has forever said that it was the forensic investigators that actually found it. I don't know why he hasn't come out and said anything. I don't know if other content people that have spoken to him have mentioned that or not. But I would like to know why he hasn't said anything, if the truth is that he knows for a fact that Payne had shit to do with it. Aren't you obligated as a police officer under some sort of oath to be honest? Notice there's really not a lot about him in court either, which is a whole nother thing, which is maybe something that we need to talk about separately eventually here. But just throwing out there, Blaker did the majority of everything in this case when it comes to what MPD has here when it comes to evidence. Payne filed some search warrants and basically just looked around at shit that had nothing to do with anything. But when it comes to the search warrant that was sent off to Washington, and I'm pretty positive the one that was sent to maybe not Pennsylvania. I guess Payne's was Pennsylvania. But the one all the ones that were sent off were all the searches in Washington, and everything PCA-wise that was attached to information sent to the lab, all of the lab requests, all of the evidence things where it's okay, this is what I need done. This is the reason why, with those huge surveys full of yes and no's and bullshit. That's all Blaker. That's all Blaker. So I don't really know what Payne was the lead on, because you'd think if Payne was the lead, then he would have also been the one to accompany the DNA sample, but instead it was Blaker. And Blaker's name is on all the forensic stuff. I don't know. I just feel like they didn't really have a lead. Because we know that the FBI is really who did everything here. So whatever the labels were, it was all bullshit. That's for sure. It was definitely all bullshit. Hey there, Snowball. Thank you for being a member for so long. 4 months is a long time. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I just feel like Blaker should have more of a presence. And when it comes to everything being talked about in court, his name was barely ever brought up. But I think if you wanted somebody who didn't seem so shady, I guess, you should have been bringing him into it more often to give testimony for what he saw, especially with the discrepancies, especially when it comes to the discrepancies in the knife sheath. And I don't really quite understand why Ann Taylor didn't do that. But that's just me. Okay. Okay. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile, which had been generated by the ISP Forensic Lab. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by the ISP investigators from District 2 during the initial search of 1122 King Road on November 13th. The sheath had been transported to the lab by ISP troopers, which is true. A District 2, I believe, picked it up from the Moscow Police Department on the morning of the 16th, met halfway with another district's trooper, handed off the knife sheath, and then it went the rest of the way to the lab. Now, I don't know if have we seen a report from the middle guy? We have a report from the trooper that picked it up from Moscow, but I can't remember if we saw the one from the one who they met up with that then dropped it off at the lab. Because that guy's name would have technically been the one that was supposed to have been on the chain of custody before it being given to the lab itself. The DNA profile was stored in a vial, which was then packaged into an evidence envelope by ISP lab technicians and properly sealed with evidence tape. I signed the package showing I was taking possession of it on 11/21/22, and we do have that, sometime between 1630 and 1700 hours Mountain Time. Once I took possession of the DNA profile, it stayed in the box provided to me by the ISP lab until 1/22/22 at around 3:30, when I removed it from the box and placed it in a small backpack. Now, I don't know if this box was refrigerated, but I promise you what I'm about to show you is not a box. It is a manila envelope, like for office documents. Okay? The backpack then stayed in my possession. The only time it was not physically holding the backpack, the only time he meant I, but it says it, I was not physically holding the backpack was when I went through TSA security at the Boise airport. I was able to see the backpack as it went through the security system and subsequent check of my carry-on by TSA security. The envelope the DNA sample was in never left the backpack at any time during the security check by TSA. Now, see, he just called it an envelope, and that's very much what it is. One of the things, though, that I didn't quite understand is why the officer is the one who held on to the DNA sample if the lab director was with him. What I also don't understand is why in this report there's no mention of the fact that somebody went with Blaker. Because somebody went with Blaker. Matthew Gammett went with Blaker. We have all of the receipts to prove that they got on the plane together and they went back to the airport together in the same rental cars back and forth, except Blaker went back to Idaho and Gammett went up to Utah. So how come he doesn't mention the fact that the ISP guy met him at the Boise airport and they traveled together? There was 2 plane tickets. Like, I don't know why there's nothing in here. That's kind of crazy to me. Thank you for the 5 Suburban Legends. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't know why he didn't mention it. I feel like he probably should. All of the interview reports, they definitely mention when the other officers are with them. So you'd think that with it being so important, not only would he mention the fact that the lab director was with him physically, but to me, the lab director probably should have been the one holding the DNA, not the cop. That's just, if you got the choice and they're both there, which one would you pick? I mean, come on. I arrived in Houston, Texas at around 1400 hours Central Time. I traveled to OTHRAM Inc., which is located at blank, we know the address, in the Woodlands, Texas. I arrived at OTHRAM at around 1510 hours. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile to JF. We'll see that signature here too. That's actually the one that they have redacted. That's the only redaction is this guy's name. Employee for OTHRAM. And that's not the owner people. The owner people are the middlemen. And it's so hilarious because, and we're going to have to go back and I guess listen to this interview again. Because the middleman people act like they literally, not like act, they physically have said out of their own lying ass faces that they met with the 2 guys, that they met with them at the lab, walked them around the lab and made sure everybody was comfortable. And then they took possession of the DNA sample. That's not what happened. This was a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am situation. Okay, they walked in, they said, hey, how you doing? Here it is. They signed some shit and they walked out. This was not no meet and greet tour like the middlemen tried to pretend it was. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile to JF, employee for OTHRAM. We completed the chain of evidence paperwork, both on the envelope and also on a form provided to me by OTHRAM. That's the 4-page document that we do have. I have burned all of these files onto a DVD, which was booked into evidence. Now, I want to show you guys the receipts that we did get before. Should be, or actually, I think I have it separate right here. Okay. This is the information that we got before. This came from Matthew Gamet from ISP. He is the lab director. Shell, gas, Boise Airport, Enterprise, the tolls from Houston for the car. And see, this is where we find out that he actually went to Salt Lake City afterwards. Went down to Houston, Texas. There's the airplane information. But I didn't get any of this when it came to Blaker's stuff. He didn't give me any receipts for his side. See, there's a car getting picked up. And see, everything is in his name. Like Matthew Gamet is the one who picked up the car from the Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport and then dropped it back off. Look, they only had it for 7 hours, from noon to 7. Business. See, Matthew Gamet's name is on all of the Houston stuff. Blaker's name isn't on any of the Houston stuff. And then Blaker doesn't mention anything regarding Gamet in his report. Isn't that weird? Okay, so here is the OTHRAM paperwork right here. Yeah, everybody walked away. I did a video about this. Let me see if I can find it on my thing. I did a video about this a long time ago. It might have been on my channel that they deleted. Let me see. It might be on the channel that they got rid of. Let me see. The CEO, like everyone walked away from the board and the CEO got in trouble. It got found out that they were selling people's information to people overseas somewhere and like labs and stuff like that that were working on biological weapons. Biological weapons. I know I did a video about this. But it might have been on the channel that YouTube got rid of. Because YouTube pulled some bullshit on an older channel that I had. It might have been over there. Yeah, I don't see the video. But yeah, they got in trouble. Every single person that was on the board of 23andMe walked away simultaneously. And they also came out and tried to say some shit about how all the years they've been in business, they haven't made a single penny of profit. And I'm just like, huh? No, that whole thing was a scam to get y'all's damn information. I'm so glad I never did those things. Oh my God, I'm so glad I never did that stuff. There's no telling what the hell they actually did with all that info. Okay, so this is the OTHRAM form that he was just talking about. Which I don't know why it's like shipping stuff, because they definitely drove it. They definitely drove it. November 22nd, 2022, 2:15, hand delivered, Dustin Blaker. So see, we have Dustin Blaker hand delivering it to OTHRAM, but Matthew Gammett's name are on all the receipts, and Blaker doesn't even mention the fact that Gammett is with him. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wild? See, here's the JF guy. This is the only name that they redacted. They charge $105 to just redact the one name. And there's really like nothing else on here. This is all it is. It's literally just signatures, dates, and a time on these 4 pieces of paper. And the 4th paper is the redaction log. So this is it right here. Now, these are the photos. There's 2 pictures that they sent. Hold on, let me add them to the drive real quick so that they can open up on the thing. Hold on. FOIA. Blaker taking sample. Let me add all this to this. Hold on. Here's the request. Okay, I also have the report, the supplemental report that I used in the request added to the folder. So everything is going to be added here. Okay. So this is the folder. See how it says keep frozen at the top? See how it says keep frozen? How is it being kept frozen in a black regular schmegular little backpack that had to be taken through TSA security? That was a carry-on bag. Wouldn't it have been a cooler? Shouldn't it have been a cooler? It literally says to keep it frozen. So does that mean that it got defrosted and became like all gross and messed up? Like, does this mess up the integrity of the sample if it's not kept at a certain degree? Because it also says it over here. It says it on the other one too. Look, keep frozen. It says to freeze it right here. Well, can I even twist it? Can I twist it or whatever you call it? Oh, I can't turn it. Hold on. But y'all see what it says. So how are we supposed to believe that they actually like handled this the way that they needed to handle it if he just had it in a regular ass freaking backpack? It's just a regular ass envelope. It's literally a manila envelope. Right? Like, I know we talk a lot about the refrigerator, which is still a good question because there are blood things that were in the refrigerator. They claim that the DNA extracts were kept in the freezer, but that the swabs and other things were kept in the refrigerator. But this physically says to keep frozen. And this is a regular ass office envelope. This is not one of those like, man, look, I have spent money getting meats delivered to me, frozen things delivered to me. It always comes in a box with like dry ice in a bag with this like really insulated, almost material like foam inside of it. Black also absorbs heat too. And he's taking it in Texas. Do you know how hot it is in November in Texas? It might as well be summer. I am not far from Houston. Okay. I've driven there. Y'all used to watch me and know when we were driving to Houston, you saw me try to look around and try to find this place. It is hot as shit in Houston, in Texas, in November. And he's popping around in a black backpack with nothing. He doesn't say that he had to change the ice. No, it's not. It's not an isolated envelope. It's a regular schmegular ass manila envelope. Isn't this insane? This is what I was saying yesterday. I am concerned. Because what? I need to get this one where it's like straightened up. I think I'm gonna have to go open to my Canva, upload it to it, and then flip it and then re-download it. Right? It's never not hot. No cooler bag, no dry ice, but it's not wet. There's not even like humidity on the damn thing. Hold on, I'm about to fix it to where it's flipped over. But now y'all understand what I said yesterday. Like, I'm concerned, bro. Like, this does not look how it should look. Let me move this way. And then I'll give y'all the link here too to the FOIA folder. Because MPD and ISP both have their own FOIA folder. So even though it's like the same subject, you'll probably see some stuff duplicated in other folders because they're on the same subject. But when it comes to like initial separation, it's by department. So yeah, I've just added it, and I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna download it, and I'm gonna put it on the drive like this too, so that it's flipped over. But yeah, even the big front piece says to freeze. But see, look, it's like it's a little bit crinkled. There's no wetness. There's no humidity. There's nothing to tell me that this has ever touched anything 32 degrees. Right? Like, why not dry ice mail it? Right, but this isn't this. This is a DNA sample. This isn't a swab. This is a sample, so this would be like liquid. Because I don't like he said it was in a vial. Let me see how do they transport the actual DNA profiles? Is it on like another container? Because if it's in a vial, what is it actually? I was under the impression that it was like some sort of liquid that they had to mess with and put under a thing. This isn't telling me what it is. DNA profile in a vial. A DNA sample. Okay, but is it a liquid? Is it on a thingy? Like, what is it? It's a liquid with stabilizing chemicals that will keep the DNA safe. So it's a liquid. Which is what I figured. It's a liquid. They really don't. Right? Like, it would definitely have, like, something wrong with it. Right? So stupid. I can't believe how dumb they are. I mean, it might have been. See, I'm telling you, there's no freaking way. There is no way in hell that Brett Payne comes out in the closed session and says that there were unknown DNA that was told to them after Bryan Kohberger's name was given to them over the phone. And magically, that exact same night is when the evidence refrigerator suddenly gets all screwed up. I want the camera footage from Moscow from that day. Isn't this crazy? This is what I told you guys. So now I need to find a lab. I need to find a lab somewhere in a state that's not here, in a state that's not in Idaho, somewhere else completely just random, that has good credentials and good reviews for the work that they do and hasn't had any problems. And I need to just see if somebody there will let me pick their brain for how they do things. Because you also have to remember, when we went through all this bullshit with these people, and we went through lab protocols and all this other shit, what we found out was that this lab does their own thing. What we found out is that this lab's protocols were created specifically for this lab, and that they don't follow the protocols that are set by a country standard in a manual, but that they're still practices that are close enough to the protocol to where they're being accepted. So even though they created their own protocols that don't match the standard, it was still being deemed okay, even though, again, it doesn't match the standard. This was an argument for like 3 months in the courtroom. So, of course, that's also some other stupid shit that we've had to deal with. Sheath sample envelope. returned. Yeah. It is just so insane to me that it's just like it literally says that you need to keep it frozen. And they're like, optional. But I want to know, like, I need to talk to somebody at a lab and be like, okay, so if it says that a DNA sample has to be frozen and it gets sent off and it gets delivered, hand delivered, and is not refrigerated and is not frozen for 36 hours before it's given to the lab, what can that do for the sample? In a black backpack, what's the weather conditions? What does it have to, like, is it okay? Because I could imagine, like, for the majority that it's like room temperature, but what if it's in the freaking backseat of that damn Enterprise car and the freaking Texas ass sun is coming in through the damn window and smack dab right on the backpack? You're heating that damn thing up to 100 fast. And if you're traveling the highways, you kind of just don't have an option, especially in the afternoon. It's west towards the sucking sun. Okay, so if you're driving that way, you're going to have the sun right on you. This is so dumb. This is so stupid. So I don't know. I don't know what they were supposed to do with this. I also can't really tell. Like, I guess the vial is like maybe here. I'm trying to see like if there's a bulge in it that you can kind of tell like where the vial is, because this just looks like flat ass paper. Like, can you even tell where something considered a vial would be in this envelope? Because aren't vials like round little cylinders? Yeah. A DNA vial is a round little cylinder. So where in this taped up, tamper evident taped up folder do we see a bulge that could have been a sample? I guess maybe all the way down here. This is so flat, it's curving. Maybe it's here. I don't know. I can't even tell. No bulge inside, right? It does. It looks empty. It looks like it's paper. I'll show you where the Syray thing is real quick, because it's definitely in there. Okay, so if you go here and you go down to all court records, and then you click on pre-guilty plea, right here, 12325 Defense Expert Index. Syray's is, where the frick is it? Holy shit! Why is it not in here? Oh, it's right here. Oh my God, you got me tripping. It's right here. It's the second one. I scrolled down, I didn't see it. It's here. All 59 pages of it is in here. And then the bottom is his, what you doodle? Credentials and stuff. So it's really just 52 pages. But they're all in there. I also went in yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And I made sure that we had everything from 2022, because I know when we start getting stuff unsealed, we might get more stuff in that folder. I haven't done anything for 2024, and I'm going to try to get all of 2024 put over into the Google Drive this weekend, since we are now at the end, like basically at the beginning of 2025 now. The next order for unsealing is going to be 2024, and I want to go ahead and get what we already have access to now, so that I don't get like all kinds of messed up. But I did go in and finish putting in everything from after the guilty plea, because this folder right here was completely empty because we were focusing on like the other stuff. But I finally got everything from there over. Let me see if there's anything new, because I know the case summary said that there was going to be some. No, not yet. There's nothing new here. And the case summary hasn't been updated since the other day when we looked at it either. But yeah, you should be able to see everything in there. That should be everything. But I'm going to go ahead and get off. Again, we'll be live. What time is my live tonight? I think it's like 8:15, 8:45. Let me see. time is this for? 8:15. So in like 3.5 hours. Isn't that crazy? And nothing that points to who they want us to think it should point at. Right now it's 4:45. Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. Wild stuff. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. Thank you for the super stickers and the super chats and the gifted memberships and those that have been here for so long. 14 months, 4 months, 30 months. A lot of you guys have been hanging in there trying to get to all this stuff. And that's what I was actually talking to my dad about this the other day. He was like, how long do you think it's going to be until you feel like you'll have like everything? And I'm like, probably some years, Dad. Like probably some years. Because it's been a year and they've barely done half a year's worth of documentation. You're right. And look how long it took for this third order. This third order took like 8 months, bro. We've been working on this third order since, wasn't it like the end of 2025? Like, it's taken forever. So long. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. Thank you so much for coming in here and going over the OTHRAM stuff with me. I will see you guys in a little bit. Try to relax. It is Friday. Oh, it's Friday. See y'all. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives.